still will come here with rush for us to be on the team for us to
sell some of the houses. It sounds good. I'll be happy to do that.
I think we have office in the US that will be selling some of the houses over there.
Oh, you guys have big plans. I should have doubled the price.
And we have another office also in the UK, in the Norwood.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
nice.
That's the Lambert community that will be selling. So anyone in the UK or in the US will know where
to go and then find that person. So you don't have to worry.
We want to put trust in the diaspora.
Amen.
Don't send money straight to me here. There are representatives in the US. We go and meet my sister and her husband there. I have a cousin also in Norwood, Lambert, SC27. That you can also go to him. So anything that you need, you see the person that you're giving the cash to.
Exactly.
And you see the property being allocated to you also by the and it's a big business that we want to do. We want to treat our customers, keep them in good life, for them to enjoy life. Even the diaspora is what is.
Of course, and that's why you run here.
Okay, thank you.
All right, guys. So, like he said, we'll be back again. I mean, I'm always happy to hear people who wanna do something to help people out there in the diaspora. That's what I stand for. My whole business is built around trying to help people in the diaspora buy properties and whatnot. And Mr. Goju here, being such a great guy, has teamed up with his sister and the husband to do something kind of similar, right? But it's, they're gonna sell a house to you. You're gonna come here. You're gonna set up a business and also probably impact somebody else. So it's it's a cycle. So if you're interested in land, reach out to me. If you're interested in this property that hasn't been done yet, still going under design, right? Yeah. So we will be back here on site and then let you guys know what they have on the ground. But you have absolutely nothing to worry about, right? Somebody bought 22.5 plus. That's a lot of money, right? And nothing. And they're here, right? I've sold land to somebody has bought land for me. One shot, I think the figure is like almost $400,000. When somebody buys land for me, I'm not gonna take your money and run away. That's not who I am. I'm selling you the new land. You're gonna come and work in peace. If there's an issue on the land, I actually have land that have legit documents, but I won't sell it because the ground is not cool. So I make sure that everything is okay, both on paper and on the ground, before I put my name to it, because I'm trying to build a reputation.
Hey everybody, I want to take the time and welcome you to my channel. If you're new here, I want you to grab your sketchbooks, and even if you feel like you're not an artist, the whole point of this video and of my channel is to allow yourself to be more comfortable with the art process and to draw as well as you can so that you can build the confidence up to draw whatever you want later. Now you can see here I have a creepy little face happening. It's a light outline, which is on purpose. I'm going to tell you what the lesson is in a moment. But the tools that I'm using, it's a 4B Faber-Castell, and it's sharpened. So you want to make sure that your pencils are sharpened. I'm sketching on moleskin paper. It doesn't really matter what paper you're sketching on. What I care about most is that the paper itself is at least good enough quality where it can handle ink if you're sketching a ballpoint, and graphite also. If you were deciding to shade, keep this as traditional as possible. Okay, so what is today's lesson? We are going to be taking a light outline and we're going to be adding shading into it to make it as realistic as possible. This is a combo that is often not overlooked, but it becomes frustrating with a lot of artists because a lot of artists out there, a lot of beginner artists, will have really nice line work, but then when they start shading, it really looks bad, or they can't quite get the realism that they want. So the lesson today is I'm going to show you how shading can bring out that realism with the line work that you already have. All right, this is a very important lesson, so stick around because I'm going to show you how you can take this drawing right here and build it up so that the shading feels like the creature is living in an atmosphere on your paper. A 2D surface, you want to feel like your character or creature or prop, vehicle, whatever it is actually existing within an atmosphere on the 2D plane. Okay, so you can see here that I have a basic outline of the face. Now, you don't necessarily have to have the entire outline of a creature or subject matter drawn before you shade. Instead, I like doing it in sections just so I can gauge what's happening with the rest of the drawing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold my pencil like this. See how it's lightly gripped and the butt of the pencil is way back here. I have the majority of the pencil exposed in the front, okay? So you want to make sure that it's light as possible, but still have a nice grip onto it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to very lightly shade across everything. So before you freak out and think that you're going to ruin the entire picture, I want you to realize that as long as the shading strokes are lighter than the line work that you put down, you won't mess up your darker lines. They'll always show up through the shading, which is why you need to build up the shading slowly so that you can continue to edit as you go. Speaking of editing, there's going to be no erasers, none whatsoever. If you feel like you need to erase, I want you to take a step back and look at your drawing and ask yourself, hey, is there any area on this thing where I can improve upon it without needing to erase it? Because a lot of times the pencil strokes that we have, they're good enough. We just have that habit of grabbing this thing. And by the way, I do have it. You can see that I use my eraser, okay, when I need to. I don't design by this thing. Okay, so you can see that I went in two directions. I went almost vertically, but it's a little slanted across the entire surface that I want to shade. The second thing that I did was I slightly turned the angle, and then I'm shading again, going over my previous strokes. Let me just show you what I did before. Okay, so what that does is it allows the very beginning stages of covering it with value. But, oh, we're not done yet. So I'm going to take my sketchbook and I'm going to physically turn it. Now I know right away, this is a very controversial topic. Never ever turn your sketchbook, you might hear. Well, I beg to differ. Every single person on this planet that draws has a specific comfort angle when drawing. So, I mean, obviously all of our bodies are built differently, and we've learned how to apply strokes to the page differently. Whatever is most comfortable for you and whichever stroke produces the best line, keep it that way. Now, there is something to be said about learning how to draw at any angle without flipping your paper around. Yes, that is very true. However, if you want good control, stay with what works. There's no reason. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Okay, so right here, what we've done 4 or 5 different passes. And have you noticed, with 4 or 5 different passes, you can still see the line work of the creature's mouth and face. That's good. You don't want to press harder than the value of those original outlines. Okay. The second thing I want you to notice, let me straighten this up a bit. Okay, you can kind of see the shading happening here. Have you noticed that I haven't even worried about staying within the lines? This is crucial. I'm not saying, hey, deliberately be messy and screw trying to be technical and proficient. No. We are building atmosphere. And in order to build atmosphere, you have to allow some of the lines to show and be crisp, and other lines to fade off. It's just like sfumato. Okay, you can look that term up. Sfumato is allowing atmosphere to come in by showing lines that are in focus and lines that are not in focus. Painters use it all the time. Okay, without further ado, let's jump into this. Now, I'm already pretty confident about what I want with the eyes. So, I'm going to keep these eyes rather creepy and rounded with no corners on either side. Maybe a little bit. Okay, and once we have that, I already am pretty happy with that I have in this face. Now, you can see that the shading is starting rolling towards us.
By drawing daily sketches, you can develop discipline, improve your skills, and foster new ideas. It serves to relieve stress, represent a feeling, or document your life through observation. Our entire inner world fits within these pages. In this Domestika course, I'll guide you through different drawing techniques to apply to your own sketchbook and get in the habit of filling a page every day. You'll learn to draw from direct observation, from your imagination, and also to experiment with color and medium. For the final project, we'll be creating a month-long
I had to do this very subtly, guys. That's what you want. Now, on the tip of the tongue up here, you won't be able to see much. Just an outline. I just want to show the thickness of that tongue tip. And then I'm just going to leave it. I'm not going to do anything else. I don't need to. But we do need to figure out what we need to do with the edge of these teeth. So I'm just going to hint at the sharpness of it right around the tips by circular motions, and then that's it. So notice how I kept some of this light. See this tiny little area right here, this light? That is the edge of the tongue, the point coming at us. Now I can kind of see the tongue rolling back here. I'm going to put just some, put black Prismacolor in it, just a little bit. And maybe with my 4B, a little darker on this side. See, now my ankle of my hand isn't good. Right in there. Okay, that's decent. We'll keep that. This tooth needs to be darker because it's showing up against the lighter inside of the gum. It's almost like this part of the gum is really picking up a lot of light. So I don't really want to change it. But I'm going to put some values in right here. Because behind the membrane, it's going to be a little bit more shadowed. And I can do all of this with just the graphite. I don't need the black Prismacolor. Because it's so light over here, I don't need to get dark. There we go. I really hope this is helping everybody. Now you can see how I build my sketches up. You can be on this for hours. And you're going to achieve some pretty remarkable things. But it takes patience, everybody. It takes patience. And I know, hey, it's way easier said than done. Pain control is something learned. When you know how to apply pressure and release the pressure and make shading look realistic, it's all about memorizing how hard to press versus when to press. Okay, now, I don't want white gums. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into this corner right here, and I'm going to, I'll make sure I'm not shaking my camera. I'm just going to use my 4B, and I'm going to shade over top of the teeth too. Remember? I'm just going to keep saying that. Just as long as you don't get darker than what you previously put down, you're okay until you want to get darker. See how this shading is kind of bleeding into the edge of the gums? That's what you want. Remember, it's atmosphere. It's atmosphere. Everything's faded over here. So like this little critter is just jumping through a dimension about to hit you with a spoon because it's angry. Okay, so you want to make sure that it's living and breathing in atmosphere. Okay, now, let's see what's happening. teeth are showing up quite nicely. The value of this gum line is still not good. Because what's happening is like the gum or the lips that are bent over right here, there's going to be cast shadow on the gum. So I can get darker right underneath the gum line and have that be fuzzy. Okay, there we go. So you can see how this is darker, and it's faded to lighter right here. This is still too light. So I'm just going to go over the gum line. There. Okay, next thing for realism of teeth, I'm going to go to the top of the teeth and just put in where the gum line is growing into the tooth. Just those little markings go a long way into realism. Outline that a little bit better. Because there's value even on the teeth. This thing is a creature, like probably finished eating something. So we don't want those to be pearly white teeth. It does not go to the dentist. It doesn't do any of that. It doesn't care. So I'm just going to get a little bit more value on this mouth. Okay, there we go. Now we're talking. Okay, the face is really coming along now. This is fun. Hopefully you guys are having fun too. Just build up the values. Now we're cooking. Going back over what I previously shaded. I'm pretty happy with the head already. So I'm just going to connect the brow ridge right here. There we go. I like this. You know, I rarely ask this, but I think it would benefit a lot of beginner artists if those of you listening right now know somebody that this could help. Share it. Just share it in your forums, share it on your social media platforms, because I try to reach as many beginner artists as possible. I want you guys to build good drawing habits early on. I'm a traditional artist, so raw pencil to paper is what I do. Okay, now we're really getting somewhere with our drawing. So I'm going to put in a couple more layers just over top of what I previously put down, and then I'm going to outline the rest of the critter. So notice how I don't have any of the arm established yet, but I know the direction that I want all of the pieces of the arm to go, just because of the way the creature's gripping the spoon. So the forearm is going to be foreshortened a tad, and then the deltoid's going to be up here, and then you're going to get the bicep down here. And it's going to be probably a fatter belly than what I originally had. I'm going to need to gauge that as best I can. A muscular little guy. And notice how I'm not going into too much detail, so a lot of these are still rough, the lines. I don't need to do anything too crazy, but I do want to keep it as 4 fingers, so there's 3 main ones, and then you got the thumb over here. Just to make it a little different, just to add a little bit of, spontaneity to it. Okay, I still want to focus on this area, and then I'm just going to outline the rest of the creature, because for what I'm drawing now, the hard part is pretty much done to establish the focal point. So now I'm going to add in some more values right over here in the main area. And I'm also going to switch positions where I'm standing. See how I have a faint outline of this hand. Its claws are probably going to be coming out at us, but I'm just going to shade over everything. When I mean everything, I mean everything. Lighter. Okay, everything that is dark is supposed to be dark, so I'm okay with that. And as I'm putting it over top of previous layer,
Hello,
all
Perkins.
of this
Thank
is
you.
smooth right here. Great. So now what I can do is I can figure out what I want the skin wrinkles to do. So let's move these small wrinkles out just a tad, and I'm just going to add in some shadows like this. If you're drawing along with me and you're learning something, comment below and tell me if you're having a small breakthrough during this lesson, or if you're still struggling. If you're still struggling, such as you still can't control the pencil or the pen, preferably if you're doing this with a pencil, it's probably better just because this lesson isn't pencil. But you can shade with a pen. That's okay. I love ballpoint pen. But If you're having a small breakthrough here, let me know in the comments. Let me know what's working. And it could be just the way that you're physically holding your pencil too. I know that's going to sound kind of weird, but we do form bad habits in holding our pencil a certain way. If you're not comfortable with the way you're holding it, you're not going to form comfortable lines. So whatever type of grip you need to have, whatever type of, finger placement you need to have in order to make smooth looking lines, practice that. For me, I like putting
Yeah, I am an artist.
thumb right here and then my
Thank you,
ring finger
Faith.
and my pinky finger underneath. So
I
it's
hope
almost like
you
this.
subscribe to my
Some people draw
channel.
like this. Some people draw like that. Some people don't even grip it. They just hold it lightly and sketch like this the entire time. It's okay. Whatever is more comfortable for you. Okay, so now I'm pretty happy with this area. Very lightly, I'm going to
Thank you,
edge
Faith.
over here, and I'm going to get as dark as that original line, and I'm just going to fade it off into the body.
Thank you for the
So that I
likes.
have a nice even core shadow coming down. It's going to take off that outlined cartoony feel, and it's going to be more realistic. How's I putting an atmosphere? Speaking of atmosphere, this is still fuzzy. right
Thank
here,
you,
which means
Faith.
I have a lot of opportunity to do this. Don't worry, I'm not messing it up, and you're not going to mess it up either. Very lightly take some shading into the background and just fade it off. Same thing up here, and then in the most fuzziest areas, do that. I might have to turn my sketchbook one more time just to get a nice feel for it. So up here, this is darker. See that little area right there? But right next to it is light. So I'm going to take the value and I'm going to start at that light spot and go right out into the background. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to turn my page and I'm going to do it again and again and again. Well, however many times I feel it's fuzzy enough. Okay, now that I did that, see how the sharp edge right here is stopping and then it gets kind of foggy or fuzzy. And then I see a slight outline here. That's good. That's what you want. Now, this is my personal style. So everybody watching this right now, you draw a different way. I'm not saying you have to copy my style, but you can copy or use this effect that I'm doing, however you feel necessary. And I'm going back over here because I travel along my drawings quite often, so if I see something working in one area, I'm like, ooh, I'm going to shift, and I'm going to put it over in another area. Because right now, since I'm seeing this in person, a lot of my details are kind of fuzzy, so I'm just going to take the tip of my pencil, and this is the spot, and this is the time where I can finally start putting in those tiny little details that I really want to put in all of the time. Raise your hand if you want to do it. Comment below if you're obsessed with details. I am, but the patience is what discipline, well, I'll word that better. It takes discipline and patience to get to this point. You will get to it. You have to build up the values so that you can get to it. Okay, like under here, just slightly put in really fine lines. Not a lot of light is penetrating right underneath that spot, so that's why I got really dark. And then the lip is folded up like this. It's almost like this little...
I'm an adult.
Does it look like a Frank or a Chuck? I don't know. Maybe a fart. What would you name this? Comment below and tell me what you would name this creature. It's so much fun too. So I think now...
How about you?
I'm going to go back behind that eyelid. Not eyelid, I'm sorry, eyebrow. I'm just going to put in some value behind the muscle that's being moved up. I'm not throwing any anatomical terms at you. There we go. Okay, so that's a little darker. Now we can see the eyebrow raised up. So instead of outlining the lining of the...
I hope you are in
instead of
school.
outlining the eyebrow, I'm just going to shade the outline of the eyebrow. So it looks smoother. And I
And I hope you're listening to your parents.
So another thing that I notice beginners do is that when they start putting wrinkles and muscles in, especially muscles, they outline
And do
every
you
muscle,
draw?
and it just immediately takes away the realism. It looks cartoony. If you are not going for cartoon look, I want to make that clear, guys. I'm not telling you to not draw cartoony stuff. No, this is for realistic drawings. If you are trying to make realistic drawings and it happens to look like a cartoon, then this is where it's going to help. You have to stop outlining your every single mark. You have to let the atmosphere and the values define the realism for you. There we go. So now what I can do is I can look at all of these individual wrinkles and be like, well, I can really make that a defined crease. This is why it's good to sharpen your pencil so you
Yeah, you have to tell your parents about it.
I'm still being gentle with these lines. I don't want to add too much. Okay, I'm going to stop there. There's enough going on in that face where it's believable enough. Down here, like on the side of the face right here.
Oh, that's bad. Sorry.
I'll put in some more lines. And then as I get in right about here, I'm going to have to define
I mean, your parents are aware.
and the jawline at the same time. Because this bottom jaw, it's so much part of the lower body that you won't be able to see much difference. So I'll just put in like a fat fold right there, lightly. It's not a single line, it's just me going over it roughly, like that. And then, of course, we need the lip.
That's great.
Okay, so we have our inside of the lip here. Okay, that I'm just going to lightly define. This is where patience comes in too, guys, because if you get really excited about a certain space in your drawing, like a certain section, we as artists, because I'm guilty of this too, I was for years, we tend to rush that detailed spot, and it doesn't look as good as the rest of the picture. So if you get really excited and be like, oh, this is really looking good, now I want to rush everything so I can post it and get likes online. No, stop, because it's gonna look like crap, and you're gonna regret not spending that extra time and making it look good. Like this lip right here would be something that I would force in my earlier years of drawing. And we can't do that as artists. We have to pay attention to it being cohesive. So you see how this lip is forming on the bottom? That's good. Now it doesn't have a top lip per se, just because we folded that under. We could put a top lip in here. And a way to do that is, instead of drawing a line for a lip,
All right, take care.
put tiny little circles in.
Don't worry
And
about
a
it.
shadow. And just roll it. Maybe this creature is so deformed that it might have a lip, but it's kind of gnawed away, or it just didn't form correctly. So now, and we don't want to define a bottom lip too much, because then it's going to be too different. But I'm just going to put in some very subtle shading underneath that lip, because even the lip is casting shadows. Or casting a shadow, because it's just one lip. So see how this is all undefined? I'm going to shade over the whole area. This is the freedom that you can have by not caring about staying inside the lines. Like a coloring book. Don't need to worry about that. Just shade. Lightly. You can always build up values and get darker. You can't do the opposite. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we're getting that lip in there in the jaw part. I'm probably going to have to get a little darker right here, because this area, we're going to need to define what the jawbone is doing under multiple layers of, I guess you can call them skin wrinkles and fat rolls and whatever else is down there. All right, our little guy is just a little pudgy little thing. Okay, in here I need to get darker, so I need my black prism color. If I push too hard with my graphite, it's going to look shiny, and I don't want that. I can't get any darker than that, so I'm not going to force it. You don't need to get jet black all the time. Okay, instead, just work up the values until it looks like there's enough contrast in between any two areas.
introduce to you one of Ghana's greatest exports when it comes to comedy. He's performed in South Africa, he's performed in America, he's performed in the UK, but he's gone around the world hoisting the flag of Ghana in comedy. Please put your hands together, let's welcome the big-headed head of comedy, please, KKB.
Hello? Please stop. I have so many enemies here. They makes my day. I just think I'm watching me. Me father, money. From the whole world, number one comedian. The world's welcome, DKB. Please you can't move the barriers far. It's like the reason I am 19 years old. Anyway, I'm here to celebrate that number. Oh, kind of for more this year, tell the number. I have two number stories, would you like to hear them? One happened at the studio, and one happened here. Can I tell the story? But this was, what is it this one? Please wait, is the head big? Big like 50 pepper point, like a sheep. Dashboard. Who? Who said lawyer American Post mouth? Who said that? So I think it was recording number. You know, when you're recording, you go to the booth, record it, come back, stand by there, producer, and check the sound, how it makes it. How does you know this guy? I took the people. Here for budget. Don't you know, Miss Dago, Shawo Sapo Musu, Ayo, Banana Winger Bra. 44 hours. I took for people. You don't know who to play games with. That's the number. So you came out to the studio, I told you was there. So I was talking about this. Let's see some money here. Oh, a real round. And I told you from nowhere. I remember, you know what this game? You say the word, it's inaudible. And the person say, they give him. He did it to that number. I think it's radio. So is that number? It's never kind of another. Okay. The way they keep paying number, have you ever seen yourself like a big man? And then somebody gets down quick, they don't know what to say. I just say, look at him. I don't think so. But from that, people look good for 5 years. Anything I want you to say, you know. If I'm lying, I think this is lying. Truth, Lumba Alpha Chow. Lumba 1-1. That's why he and the Chapo had Ghana's most silent beef. So all the time, every time, no. Then, indirect, you know this is the beef, but the beef is smelling. You know when they interview Lumba, I said, another Chapo, or you know what you oh, I know what you know. Or two of my face, Nakome, or you mean you're making a power. Think to me, you're going to Chapo. Right after the interview. Ooh, not the baby. Indirect beef. And the one that happened here, I was the host of a show, an award show. And I heard that Lumba is stubborn. So I said, hey, let's try Lumba 7 years. Wallahi. So, Lumba was in the washroom. And then his assistant stood at the entrance of the washroom. Like, Lumba is peeing. And in my mind, now public washroom in the area. And public. And then the bedroom. I wanted to show Lumba that this is normal. So you know what I did? His assistant, I'm like, I really wanted to pee. I don't know what, You don't know how much they come. So the back of my hand, I hit his chest. Bah! I pushed inside. I wear a public watch and I entered. And through the moment of speaking, when I started to hear this, I went close to him. I was the second foot down there. Lumba! I said, sorry. I said, yeah, Lumba, you're too soft. Yeah. You're too soft. I swear. Why am I even shouting about the lyrics? So I feel after I feel the Lumba. And you saw me, it was sumo one out there. There was sumo. Lumba didn't say anything. He was just, I said, this something. I said, yeah, today I'm intimidated by the Lumba. Lumba, yeah. It was sumo, that shit. Lumba said, Lumba, it was yeah. I killed Lumba. Only to come backstage, Lumba was backstage. And he realized I'm the MC. So how we introduce him? Lumba said he will perform. Hi! Yo! I introduced Lumba more than 15 times. 1 hour, Lumba is not showing up. And in the back, about 50 people begging him. Lumba, you're about to oh, I'm not young wrong. I don't know. I can't come on. True Lumba story. And eventually Lumba said he only perform if he won't see my face. And I said, I agree. So I introduced Lumba. I didn't go away and I hid behind the curtain. So he took the mic. The moment he entered, he was already on stage. So the whole thing, she came behind the curtain like this. Yeah, Lumba. And he paused, look at me, I can see he wanted to go